I hope you're doing well. So for this lesson, you're going to learn about conditional statements, looping, lists, and dictionaries. So if you've actually not watched the two previous videos in this series, I advise you to actually go and watch them because this is a continuation. And if you are a beginner, it would actually be nice for you to learn the previous concept before getting into this. Okay, so let's go for it. So we're going to start with conditional statements. So conditional statements in Python, we have the if else statements, and they're used to evaluate whether a statement is actually true or false. So if the statement is true, what it does is that it actually executes whatever is inside the if statement. And if the statement is false, that's when the else statement comes in. So let's go ahead and see how this works. Yeah, let's go ahead and create a variable. Let's say a score of 40. And then we would go ahead and create an if statement, and let's say if score is less than 50, we can print out a statement, let's say too low. So yeah, that's the if statement. And then if the score is actually greater than 50, what you do is that we would go ahead and print satisfactory. Okay, so yeah, let's go ahead and see how this code works. It's gonna print out too low. Why? Because our score is actually less than 50. So if we change the value here to something like 70, and then let's go ahead and see if it works, it's gonna print out satisfactory. So that is how the if and else statement work in Python. I hope you've actually looked at the syntax, and you can see that I have used indentation here and here. So on to the next thing. We have looping. So Python allows us to actually iterate through sequences in different ways. There are two ways that I'm going to talk about right now. We have the for and the while loop. So what the while loop does is that as long as the statement is actually true, the while loop will continue iterating through the sequence. Let's have a look at the while loop. We can go ahead and say num is equals to 5. So while okay, let me do this because this is easy to understand. So yeah, as long as the number is less than 10, it will go ahead and print the number. So, and then this code here, what this code here does is that it actually adds the number by 1 as long as it's less than 10. So if you look and see, it's gonna print out 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So it has not printed out 10. Why? Because it only prints out the numbers which are less than 10. So I hope you've actually seen how while loop works here. Right, so on to the next one. We have the for loop. So just like the while loop, a for loop is another way to actually iterate a sequence. So I'm gonna show you different things about the for loop that you actually need to know. Let's create a variable. Let's say my name. My name is Celine. So let's say we want to go through this entire string, and then we want to get all the letters in this string. So how do you go about it? So for letter in my name, we want to go ahead and print the letter. So let's go ahead and see. As you can see, it has printed out all the letters of my name, C, E, L, I, N, and E, down here. Let me comment this out. Yeah, let me just comment the entire thing. Yeah, okay. So if you actually look at the terminal down here, you can see that it has gone through the entire string here, and gotten every letter from my name and actually printed it out. So that is how the for loop works, and there's many ways that you can actually write your for loop. So here's another way. This has done the same thing as this here. So this for loop here and this for loop here are actually doing the same thing. So that's why I'm saying there's many ways that you can write your for loop, and you can actually loop through many things. We can loop through a string, we can loop through a list. We're gonna look at lists, and I will show you how to actually loop through lists. Next, we have the break and continue statements. So what the break statement does is that it actually stops the loop before looping through the entire item. And then the continue statement, on the other hand, stops the current iteration of the loop and continues with the next. So here's an example. So let's say we want to stop at I. So what we would do is that we could actually say if the letter is equals to I, go ahead and break. Okay, so let's go ahead and see. Okay, let me comment this out so that you can see. What our code does is that it actually only prints out the letters C, E, L, and I. So that is how the break statement works. We have seen that it has actually only printed these first four letters. When it's got to I, it actually stopped looping through. Okay, so that is how the break statement works. So let's go ahead and check and see how the continue statement works. So here's an example. Let's use continue. I hope you're watching the syntax here. So yeah, let's go ahead and see what it's gonna do. So we can see that it's actually printing out C, E, L, N, and E. It's only printing out all the letters other than I. So continue here has actually skipped the letter I. So that is how the continue statement works. And I hope you've actually gotten to see the difference between the break and the continue statement. So now we are going to look at lists and dictionaries. We are going to start with lists. So these are actually ways of storing data in Python. In future dates, we're going to look at more data structures and more ways you can actually store your data. But for now, we're going to have a look at lists and dictionaries. A list is a collection which is used to store values. This is how lists appear in Python. So let's say we want to create a random variable which has lists. So let me create a random list. Let's go ahead and print and see what our print actually brings out. So when you run the code, it's actually gonna print out this list that we have created up here. There's many ways that you can manipulate lists. So how you actually access the values in a list is through the use of indices, and in singular you say index. So what indices are is that they're actually used to access the position of a value in a list. So and indices begin from 0. So let's say 1 here has an index of 0, 3 has an index of 1, 5 has an index of 2, and so on and so on. So let's say we want to access, like I said, we want to access these values at 1 till this first 9 here. So we can say 1 is at index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 9 is at index 6. So what we would do is say, why I'm saying index 7 is that to print out the value at index 1 to the value at index 6, we would have to use the stop index 7, because this is how it works. It's gonna print out until the value before the stop index. And this is called slicing in Python. So let's go ahead and see. if our code actually works. So as you can see, it is printed out what you wanted, all these values up to this first 9. Let's say you wanted to print out the last number here. What we would do is that we would do this. So -1 here brings us the last digits in the list. Let me see how this works. You can see that it has brought us 2, and 2 is the last digit. Okay, that is just a few tricks you can learn when it comes to lists. I know you've talked about looping, but we can also loop through lists. So let me show you how to go about it. Print nums I. So this code here will loop through this entire list and print every number in the list. Yeah, sorry. Okay, so let's go ahead and see if our code here works. You can see that it is actually printed out every number in the list. Another way you could do it is just say for noun nums print noun. So our code actually has a problem. I don't know why. Okay. You can see that it has just done the same thing like what we have done previously. So, and that is lists. I hope you've seen how you can manipulate lists in various other ways, and I hope you actually now know what lists are in Python. So next we're gonna look at dictionaries. So dictionaries are a collection of key value pairs, and you can access a dictionary value using keys, and I'm gonna show you how you can work with dictionaries in Python. So yeah, so now this is how dictionaries appear. So let me create this variable. Dictionaries will always have the opening and the closing curly braces. Let's say we have something like lotion, and the lotion could go for something like $30. Let's have something else like deodorant, and let's say it goes for something like $50. I'm gonna put it in strings because yeah, we're working with strings. Let's have something else like a MacBook, and then let's say it goes for $1,500. Okay. One more thing that I've forgotten is this. So this here is actually a dictionary that we have created, and these here are keys, and these are the values. So let's say you want to access this value here, this $30. What we do is let's create a variable. Let's say n is equals to my dict, and then how we access it is that we use the key. So the key here is lotion, and then let me print out n and see what it's actually gonna print. So you can see that it is actually printed out the $30. So that is how you actually get access to values in a dictionary. Another way that you can use to access values in a dictionary is that there is an inbuilt Python method called get. So we could actually do this. Let me comment this out. So we could actually as well do this. And then we'd put the key there. So yeah, let's print out and see what our code actually does. and it does the same thing. It has actually printed out the value. So that is one way of how to access values in a dictionary. So let's say you want to change the value here in deodorant. One way we would go about it is do this. Sorry, deodorant is equals to, we would put something else. Let's say I want to put, let me put 100. So yeah, and then let's say we want to print out the value at deodorant right now. So what we would do is the same thing, but now let me use the deodorant key. Okay, so yeah, let's print it out. It's gonna print out the new value, which is 100. So that is how you actually change values in dictionaries. You can as well check the length of the dictionary. You can check if keys exist in dictionaries using the conditional statements we talked about. I hope you've actually gotten an idea of what dictionaries are in Python. And in future dates, you're going to work with dictionaries many times. So it's actually a good idea to go back and see what dictionaries are and how they work. So yeah. So thank you so much. And that's it. So today we looked at a lot of concepts, and I really hope that you can look back and practice these concepts. And in the next topic, we would go ahead and cover functions and classes. So yeah, I look forward to seeing you on the next lesson, and take care of yourselves, and yeah, be safe. Thank you.